This feature makes it possible to automatically trace logos and bitmap graphics directly inside Photoshop without relying on Illustrator for the entire process. Up to this point, most users had to switch over to Illustrator whenever they wanted to convert a bitmap image into scalable vector-style paths, especially when working with logos or graphics that needed to stay sharp at larger sizes. Now, Photoshop includes a built-in solution called content-aware tracing, and even though it is still considered experimental, it already works surprisingly well. To access the feature, head into the Preferences menu and open the Technology Previews section. Inside that panel, enable the option called Content-Aware Tracing Tool. By default, this option is turned off, so you need to manually activate it first. Once it is enabled, go over to the Pen tool in the toolbar. Click and hold on the Pen tool icon, and you will now see the Content-Aware Tracing tool appear in the list. Traditionally, tracing a logo by hand meant carefully placing anchor points and adjusting Bezier handles, one by one. That process can take a lot of time, especially if you are not experienced with vector paths. This new tool speeds things up dramatically. As soon as you start using it, Photoshop begins detecting contrast and edges inside the image automatically. With just a few clicks, you can trace around the logo and create highly accurate paths almost instantly. After tracing, switch to the Path Selection tool and select the generated paths. You will notice how clean and precise the result looks. Photoshop does an impressive job following the edges of the original graphic. When you hide the original image layer, all that remains is the vector path, which means the artwork can now be scaled without losing quality. This is especially useful when working with low-resolution logos or bitmap graphics. If you zoom into the original image, you can clearly see the pixels breaking apart. But once the artwork has been traced into paths, it becomes much cleaner and more flexible for resizing. You can also export these paths into Illustrator if you want to continue editing there later. Under the Export options, choose Paths to Illustrator and save the generated path as an Illustrator file. Even if you never leave Photoshop, this feature is still extremely useful because it allows you to resize traced artwork much more cleanly than simply enlarging the original bitmap image. Once you convert the path into a selection and fill it on a new layer, the result looks significantly sharper than scaling up the original graphic. That is what makes this feature so powerful and practical for everyday design work.